I was only 16 when I learnt that some people mistake poverty for weakness. My manager tried to shame me, break me, silence me, but he didn't know he was awakening a fire he couldn't control. That morning, as I bent over to sweep my manager's office, I felt his eyes on me. When I looked up, there he was, staring not at the floor I was cleaning, but at my chest. My heart skipped. I straightened quickly, clutching my blouse, pretending not to notice. He smiled, that kind of smug smile that makes your skin crawl. I forced myself to keeping, one hand on the broom, the other holding my blouse together. When I got this job, I thought I'd finally caught a break, a chance to save up for my education. My maternal aunt, bless her soul, had told me about the vacancy. I was hired as a sales representative, though without a formal contract. I didn't mind at first when my manager asked me to buy his lunch or sweep his office. I told myself it was part of the hustle. After all, I needed the money, and those chores didn't make me less of a person. But that day changed everything. His eyes told a story I didn't want to believe. The next morning, I wore a jumper over my dress in the blazing heat just to feel safe. When he saw me, his face twisted in anger. "Why are you dressed like that?" he barked. I didn't answer. I just kept sweeping. That jumper became my armor. 3 days later, he sent me to fetch water when there was an obviously functional tap in the office. Another day, he ordered me to flush the toilet, his toilet. I walked in and froze. He had used it and left everything unflushed. My stomach turned. I did it once out of shock, but when he asked again a week later, I refused. That day, I decided I would not let him humiliate me again. At the end of the month, everyone else received their salary, except me. I asked the manager, but he shouted at me and threw me out of his office. 2 days later, desperate, I went back. He screamed again and told me never to come to his office. When I walked in, my manager was already there, standing with folded arms. The boss's expression was dark. He exploded. "You came here to destroy my business," he shouted. "You're disrespectful, proud, and lazy. Why did you refuse to fetch water and flush the toilet?" Each word hit me like a slap. I couldn't believe my ears. Was the same man who had apologized to me yesterday, the same man who had promised to take care of everything. And then he mentioned my parents. "Who is your father?" he sneered. "Do you think you're too big to flush someone's poop? Even if your mother worked for me, she would fetch water." My blood boiled. Anger surged through me, but in that moment, I heard my mother's echo in my heart. "Tina, your anger, even if justified, cannot bring about God's righteousness." It was as if she whispered it directly into my ear. I took a deep breath. They were not worth my anger. Then the boss said, "Tina, you will verbally apologize to the manager and write a letter of apology to the company. Then we will let this issue go." For the first time since I entered that office, I spoke. "Sir," I said quietly, "I want my salary, then I will leave." He looked stunned. He couldn't understand why a 16-year-old girl from a humble background would dare to stand her ground. He thundered, "You will not be paid, and you will not keep your job if you don't apologize." I stood firm. "I've done nothing to apologize for. I just want my salary, then I'll go." Even the manager was shocked. My colleagues trembled outside the door. Everyone feared the boss and the manager. I never understood why, when it was clear who was in the wrong. When I realized they had no intention of paying me, I turned and walked away. I never looked back. I may have been 16. I may have come from a poor home. But that day, I learned that my worth was not defined by poverty or fear. The boss saw me through the eyes of my parents' status, but I saw myself through the eyes of possibility. Today, I look back and smile. That experience changed something in me. I went on to further my education. Today, I own 3 successful tech companies. I am a woman in my own right, and to crown it all, I hold a PhD forensic engineering. So, you see, you write your own story. No one writes it for you. Never let anyone reduce you to a tool for their pleasure. You are made for greatness.